Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Sammy with Cedar Pine Designs, and in today's video we will be repurposing this top portion of a China hutch. So let's jump straight into this one and get our hands dirty. So I got this China hutch and I bought it sight unseen. I actually had it delivered to me, and when I got it I had already paid for it, so I was kind of stuck with it because I was unaware that it was made of a lot of pressed board and plastic, which I've never seen before. The lower portion was mostly pressed board and it had plastic doors that looked like wood in the picture, but it wasn't. Luckily for me, I sold that as is really fast, and I kept the top portion, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it because the top is made of mostly solid wood and veneer, so I knew that the top portion was salvageable, and it was supposed to be a quick flip, but then slowly I just rabbit holed and decided to just kind of go all in on this one. So I hope everybody enjoys this transformation. Well, right now I'm pretty much just disassembling it and taking everything off. I'm taking the drawer handles and this built-in light that was in there. That light pretty much did nothing for the display. It was so dull. I'm not sure if I'm going to be adding another light or not. I'm removing all the doors because I have a image in my head that requires me to paint these doors, and I think it's going to turn out great. So one of the things that I was thinking of doing was lining the back with some contact paper that I've had in my shop for quite a while. I never used it, so I decided this would be the perfect opportunity to try it out and see what I can do with it, because the other alternative was to paint the inside, and I wasn't really too enthusiastic about doing that. So I removed all of these staples so that way I can take the back off and line it out. So like I said, this was supposed to be a quick flip just so that I can recoup some of my money back, hopefully making a little bit in the process or breaking even. I wasn't really too worried about it, and this is kind of where all my problems started with this piece. This piece was quite the headache, but at the end I pushed through and I got it done, but it definitely was a challenge. When I say all of my problems started around this portion of the video, take note to the way that I am masking it off. I only intended to paint the middle one because it is fixed to the China hutch itself, and the other two doors I will be painting separately because they are removable. It's coming up quick, so we'll kind of go over that in a minute. So if you followed my channel for a while, you know that I really love wood stained with black paint. It is my favorite color combination, and that is what I decided to use for this piece. Up to this point, everything was going fine. Everything got masked off pretty quickly. I removed everything. This was only supposed to be like maybe a 2-day project. I started to paint that middle door black, and it was going fairly smoothly until I decided to paint the doors, which were removable. I didn't really have a good place to set them, so this was my idea. I set them up like this so that way I can rotate them and only have a small little portion leaning up against the China hutch, so that way I can paint front and back at the same time and let it dry. And I'll show you why that was a big mistake later on. So I'm taking the backing and I'm going to use this contact paper that I bought a long time ago that I'd never used. And this was my first time using this style. It was more of a vinyl. It was rubbery and kind of stretchy. And for the most part, it went on fairly well, but it did leave behind a little bit of air bubbles that I tried my best to go around and kind of, pop them and take all the air out of them. I definitely will be using a different material later on in the future if I do decide to use this stuff again, but for the most part, I was happy with it. Just a quick tip for anybody that's going to be doing large surfaces like this. It'll probably be very, very helpful to have a second set of hands, which at the time I didn't because I was home by myself. So I was trying to do this, solo. So at the end, I did finish it, and I took the handles and I did those in a gold color because the scheme is going to be black gold with some stained wood. As I was removing the masking paper and tape, I did realize that I forgot to take off the hinges because I'm going to be painting those gold. And then while I was doing that, I took the time to remount the back panel so that way I can get a look at how that paper came out. So when I originally taped this piece off to get it ready for paint, I was just going to paint the doors and that was it. But unfortunately, I got a little bit of overspray on the sides because I didn't mask it off good enough. I'll show you really fast what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I only masked off about half of it, and you couldn't really tell as I was painting, but I got some overspray, and that was because in the video, you'll notice that I leaned the drawers up against these corners here, and now I'm not sure what to do. I was thinking of leaving it wood like that, but to clean this off, it's probably going to ruin the original finish on it, and I do not want to sand that down to bare wood and restain it because then it won't match the inside. So I'll have to think of something on this. Ultimately, because I had already finished the painting process of the doors, I really didn't want to start painting again because then I'd have to mask the whole thing off. So I decided to use this contact paper that I actually had laying around for quite a while as well. It is a faux wood grain in a black kind of satin finish color, and it's perfect because it matches the doors. I really like the way that it looks, so we shall see how it turns out and if it's gonna stay. I have to say this contact paper compared to the one that I used for the backing was really, really easy in comparison to install, and I would much rather use this stuff. Had I had something of that design for the back, would have been great. But as you can tell, it came out a little rough. You can kind of see these little bumps, and I didn't really like the way it didn't hold on to the edges. It just seemed like the adhesive properties just weren't strong enough, so off it goes. And like I said, this project really was a challenge for me because just a lot of things go wrong, and that is something to keep in mind when doing pieces. A lot of people will show all of the furniture flips that they do, and it seems to come out really, really easy. And just know that sometimes things don't go your way, but you just have to push through and kind of think of other ideas on the fly. So what I decided to do was just bite the bullet and paint the sides anyway, because that's just going to be the most durable option. And I decided to paint the top while I was at it because this thing, obviously it was a China hutch and it was up a lot higher, so it didn't really show the top. But now that it's a lot lower because it's going to be a display cabinet, I wanted to paint it just so that it will look really nice and match the rest of the hutch. Because I'm going to be adding some legs to this to get it off of the ground to make it more of a display cabinet, I am using some scrap piece of wood to cut to size and add it to the bottom of this China hutch, so that way it can give me more wood to screw into, so that way when I attach the legs, the screws don't come through the other side and ruin the wood. So the safest way that I can think to attach those to the bottom without screwing through the veneer is using a pocket hole jig set made by Craig. This thing is awesome. It is very easy to set up and use, and I highly recommend getting one of these if you do furniture flipping, because it is going to be a lifesaver. So I'm taking measurements of the doors where the glass goes, because like I said, I went down a rabbit hole of trying to really flip this piece. The more I looked at it, the more things I kept thinking of wanting to do to it, and putting the glass back on by itself was just a little boring for me. So I found this plastic chicken wire that had a cool, almost beehive hexagonal design on it, and it's very lightweight, easy to install. So I just cut it to size. And I was going to use it by itself, but because it's a little flimsy, it kind of wouldn't really hold without having to use a bunch of screws and stuff. So I decided to put it in place and then use the existing glass to actually hold it down, and that actually turned out really, really well. So one of the things that I was thinking was painting this accent piece gold to kind of match some of the other gold accents that I had on it, but I felt it would have been a little too much gold. Please let me know in the comments below if you think that that would have been a cool accent or something that I should have done. But in the end, I left them black because I already had put so much work into this piece that I was kind of exhausted at this point and just wanted to get it done. So I added all of the legs and all of the hinges back to this piece. The legs are black and gold with a taper to the sides, which gives it a nice modern look, and I'm in the home stretch at this point. So now that I'm in the home stretch, the handles were one of the last things that I had to install, and I am so happy that I have gotten into the home stretch on this one, because this project took me far too long. The only one last thing there was to do was clean the glass shelves and reinstall those, so that way we can go ahead and finish this piece off, and now we can take a look at how it looked before and how it looks now. So after standing back and taking a look at everything that I had accomplished with this piece and everything that I went through trying to get it to this point, I am completely happy with having put all of this work into it rather than just trying to do a quick flip on it, because I think it looks absolutely amazing. And this is usually the part where I will go over the numbers on a piece that I had sold, but what I'm trying to do is push out one piece per week and then obviously upload the video every Sunday. That's my goal. So that doesn't really leave me a lot of room to try and sell these before I get the video out. So hopefully I will sell this for somewhere between $500 and $800, but we shall see how that goes. Thank you for sticking with me on this one, and I will see you on the next one.